America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The harlot Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey everybody, welcome to Believe It or Not.
Another week, another story of...
Stories.
I didn't know where I was going
Story
with
of stories. Me and Damien are both a little sniffly today.
Yeah, it's allergy season.
Allergy season.
Mm-hmm.
I had a terrible cold.
You're feeling better though.
Feeling
mostly,
better.
right?
Feeling better.
Yeah.
Still got a little bit of
a hack.
A little bit of a hack. What do you get up to today?
This.
Okay. Yeah, great. Awesome.
How about you?
You worked late last night. I had therapy today.
Was that
saw
good?
my therapist. It was great. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
I was. It's funny though because I was talking to him about how I'm trying to find that line between I don't want to always remain silent if I see injustice, but I also don't want to be that guy who's just always being like actually or like just getting angry at people randomly.
Yeah.
And then I was taking a Uber home, and the guy was playing a Christian radio station. And the show was about like pro-life and the pro-life movement and how to push the pro-life agenda and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, change it, please, sir. I can't do it anymore. You need to change the station. He's like, why? I'm like, because it's a pro-life Christian station. He's like, yeah, well, I like it. And I'm like, just find something else. He's like, what do you want to listen to? I was like, literally anything else. I was just so mad, and I was like, okay, this is a good test. Nope, I can't do it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I probably would have been just like, hey, you mind if we put on like some rock radio or something?
Yeah, I should have done that instead of... Please, can I get something that doesn't... What did I say? That doesn't like hurt women?
That's fair.
So that was...
Listen, I'm pro-abortion. Change it.
Yeah.
I like killing babies.
I know they're babies from conception, and I want them dead.
Yeah.
That's my position.
I mean, that's the only position to have.
I agree.
You ever met a baby?
Yeah, they're annoying. Crying all the time.
Yeah. Can't talk.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of dead babies, though.
Yeah.
Do you remember that was awful when you know what we're talking about?
I don't.
You know what Waco, Texas is?
I've heard of it. It's a city.
A city in Waco. A city in Texas. But it's Waco. Do you remember the siege?
Yes.
The David Koresh.
That was the one they like holed up in the compound, right?
51 days, the ATF and the FBI surrounded that place before, bam, 76 dead. Spoilers for this episode. Yeah, so 76 of their people dead, and then a number of cops dead too. So
yeah.
But so I wanted to talk maybe a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, what happened at Waco?
Mm-hmm. And if you want to find what happened in Waco, we have to go back to 1929.
All the way back to 1929.
Let's go back to 1929. So Waco happened in 93.
And we have to go back to 29 in order to understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you probably could understand that cults be crazy and the government doesn't trust cults, but...
we're going in the Wayback Machine.
We're going in the Wayback Machine. We've talked about the Seventh-Day Adventist Church before.
Yep. Starts with them?
Starts with them, sort of. Kind of, but yes. So they were a doomsday cult, still kind of our doomsday cult, right? Like the world's going to end very soon. 1929, this guy named Victor Houteff, he's from Bulgaria. Sorry, they both start with B. He's from Bulgaria. Moves to America and becomes a Seventh-Day Adventist. And then he goes, you know what? We don't care enough about this end time stuff. We're not taking it seriously enough. And also my study of the Bible shows, guess what? It's happening soon.
In 1929.
In 1929, he says, like, God's coming back soon, and we need to get ready for this. So he starts teaching his brand, and he starts working on these series of tracts or books called The Shepherd's Rod. Mm-hmm. Eventually, the Seventh-Day Adventist Church is like, get out of here. You don't need to get out of here. Because they just thought he was like very heretical and like, this guy's crazy. So he doesn't want to start his own branch, but he has a lot of followers, right? So he doesn't want to start his own like denomination or whatever, but he's got a lot of followers, but he really believes that the Seventh-day Adventist church is like the church, like God's church. So he's still trying to get back in, and he's still trying to like change their minds about stuff. And in 1934, they have this like little hearing. Eventually basically say, no, you're a heretic. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And so they kind of denounced him, and he started the Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Church. So he still called it the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but he started his own version.
He's just like, I'll start my own Adventist.
Yeah, exactly.
Seventh-day.
Yeah. So but I think he always just wanted to get back into the main church, and he's always believed that this is the church. So he bought this property in Waco, Texas.
Yep. Mount
Carmel Center.
Okay.
And this is
There's a Mount Carmel Center in Niagara Falls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it Seventh-day Adventist?
I don't really know exactly.
Okay.
I just remember driving by it, and I think my mom's saying nuns live there or something.
Oh,
like
okay,
that
that makes sense. Yeah, so Mount Carmel is just like a mountain in the Bible where
like a
you were
mountain.
close to God, basically. Like, so when the Old Testament was first written, it was very much like God was a physical creature who lived on a mountain.
Oh.
Like it was
like an old wise man who
like
lives
an
on
old
the mountain, and you
exactly.
go ask
And
him questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this Betty Boop cartoon. Were you watching that with us?
No.
It was like the old man on the mountain or something like that.
Maybe I have seen
And he's
this,
just all
actually.
hands.
Yes.
Yeah, that was creepy as hell.
I think I do remember that.
Yeah.
Well, that was Betty Boop cartoons.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, everyone was just trying to feel her up, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It was just because you see her on like T-shirts and stuff. It's like, oh, that's cute. And then you watch the old cartoons, and you're like, oh, everyone's just trying to sexually assault her.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, she fights back.
That's true. She does fight back.
But it's still creepy.
Yeah.
Any Betty Boop fans, we don't apologize.
Yeah, exactly. So this Victor Hutef starts the Davidians, but they were nicknamed like the Rod because of his books, The Shepherd's Rod or The Shepherd's Rod.
And they're just trying to prepare for God coming?
Yeah, they're just kind of, hey, God's going to come back.
Is that kind of like you find out that your parents are coming over to visit? And you're like,
yeah,
shit,
you're
we
just
gotta
trying to clean
clean
up.
up fast. So you just shove everything under the bed?
That was an old T-shirt that was Jesus is returning, act busy.
You just got to shove everything under the bed.
Yeah.
That they don't notice. Closets are stuffed.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing's really changed.
Yeah, so 1934 is when they had that hearings, and then by 1942 they had fully started the Davidian Seventh-day Adventists, and it was like fully like its own kind of denomination, and that's when they had the Mount Carmel Center in Waco. In the 1950s, it became very popular. There was like 100,000 followers.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, not the most popular religion of all time,
Still,
but for a
100,000
wacky
people
cult,
for
100,000 people.
Wingnuts?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if 100,000 people join my cult.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, if anybody wants to join my cult.
Yeah, if 100,000 people joined my cult, I could finally get that car I wanted.
Exactly. But then, 1955, Victor Hutef dies. Just suddenly, and there was kind of a struggle of who's going to take over leadership. Yeah, and his wife took over.
Okay.
And she's now a prophet. So he was a prophet. Now she's a prophet.
Just by association.
Just by association, yeah.
Prophet by association.
And she said that she figured out using maths and the Bible that Christ was returning on April 22nd, 1959.
Spoiler, didn't happen.
How do you know? It didn't, by the way.
Because it's now.
So we're still now. Yeah, right. She was kind of like, oh, I guess I was wrong. Like most of these people, like when they're wrong about Christ returning,
they have
they're
an excuse for it.
Yeah, they have an
because
excuse.
Of our sins.
Yeah. But she was like, whoops, sorry, I guess I fucked up.
She should have used math instead of mass.
Yeah, and she announced in 1962 she had erred because I guess she was like, maybe I was a little off with my math, and then 3 years later it's like, no, I guess I was just wrong.
It's nice to see a little bit of infallibility in someone, someone who's willing to admit to a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it is the mistake of convincing people that the end of the world is happening.
Yeah. But they split off into different factions and stuff like that.
Oh, they broke up the band after that?
They broke up the band, and she actually sold Mount Carmel. But because it was like kind of a hub for this group, another group that was following them ended up getting it eventually. And this
stayed
was
in the family.
Yeah, exactly. A guy named Ben Roden. previously called them the Dead Rod, which is clever. Because they were the shepherd's rod, and now they're the Dead Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that like they were too radical for the Seventh-Day Adventists. They're like, they kept saying that the Seventh-Day Adventists were too lax now. And then all of a sudden, like 20 years later, people are like, now you're too lax. You're not crazy enough about the world ending.
It gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah. We gotta up the ante every couple of years, or your crazy cult isn't.
I can't wait to see what the next crazy cult is going to be.
Yeah. And they called theirs the General Association of Davidians Seventh-Day Adventists. So what would that be? GADSDA?
GADS.
The General Association of Davidians Seventh-Day Adventists. So he told everybody, eat better. Seventh-Day Adventists already eat very well.
Oh, do they? Like a lot of pies and cakes?
A lot of pies and cakes, but they got to be healthy pies and cakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They eat very healthy. They're kosher, but he's like, take it up a notch. And then he died in 1979.
Everyone keeps dying in this
Everyone
thing,
keeps dying. So when he dies in 1979, once again, his wife takes over. His wife, Lois. They had a son named George. But Lois kind of took this young man under her wing.
Took George under her?
No, this guy named Vernon Howell.
Lois.
Oh, Lois. By under her wing,
Yeah.
they were fucking.
Oh.
Yeah. They were having an affair. Sorry. So when I was reading about this, out of wedlock. Yep.
Okay. That's not a good way to please the Lord.
Nope.
Please F.
Unless, I think it's okay if it's a prophet.
Oh, the prophet can bone?
I think can a prophet bone?
I think so.
Hey, write us in if a prophet can bone.
Well, they said Jesus hung out with the prostitutes.
Because this little young man named Vernon Howell eventually changed his name in the years to come to David Koresh.
Oh, why?
David, King David.
Yeah. Caruso.
They were the the Davidians. They like looked up to David quite a bit.
Yeah.
King David in the Bible, and then Koresh was the Hebrew name for Cyrus, which was a Persian king in the Bible who God used. And so Cyrus was considered an anointed one in the Bible. He was the only one in the Bible that was considered an anointed one but wasn't Jewish.
Okay.
So
that's an anointed non-Jew.
What's that?
An anointed non-Jew?
Cyrus wasn't a good guy, but God used him, right?
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of people say now about Trump. A lot of Trump supporters compare him to Cyrus in the Bible.
All I think of is Cyrus and Trailer Park Boys. He's a dick.
Oh, and so is Trump.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I compare Trump to Cyrus and Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah. So everybody's comparing Trump to some Cyrus.
King Dave.
King Dave. So King Dave takes over. No, Lois takes over, but everybody loves Vernon Howell. Or David Koresh. But then when Lois dies in 80...
Wait, wasn't Vernon Howell the one who started everything?
No, that was Victor Houtef.
Victor Houtef. Okay, Vernon Howell.
Vernon Howell now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's another VH. Which threw me off for a second there.
Well, that's a sign from God, right? Yeah. George takes over after Lois dies in 86. Her son, George.
Oh, yes. And then it's her lover who...
Yeah, but Vernon.
Now
David Koresh.
Like the ginger ale.
No,
that's Verner's.
Oh, I thought you meant David Koresh with the ginger ale. I'm like, I want to try that ginger ale. It's tasty.
I'm getting very confused. I'm so sorry.
So George takes over, but a lot of people wanted David.
They want Dave.
Yeah, and because he's a prophet of God. Okay. So George is like, hey, if you're a prophet, raise these dead people.
Riddle me this.
So George goes and digs up dead people.
Okay.
Puts them out and says, you're a prophet, raise them from the dead. Prophets can raise dead people. The David Koresh is like, okay, and goes to the police and says, he's digging up dead people.
I mean, that's what I would have done.
Yeah, and there's like no evidence for it. They can't like raid the compound over that. So he's like, okay, I'll raid the compound. So he goes in with guns and videotapes the whole thing and tries to prove that there's like issues. A bunch of people get arrested, including David Koresh. There's a famous mugshot. But then eventually David Koresh gets leadership of the compound.
Okay.
And this is when he goes, also polygamy. We can do polygamy now. I can do polygamy because I'm a prophet. I don't think he said everyone can, but
Just him.
So he starts.
He's got to spread the prophet seed.
Yeah. He starts spreading the prophet seed. So from 29, where it's like the world, the time is up, God's coming back. We got to stop pretending he's not. Here's a book about it. To the 90s, and it's I'm gonna marry 12-year-olds. Is the
Ew.
Yeah, so he starts marrying 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And other people in the compound. And
I mean, even if you're a crazy cult member who believes that the end of the world is happening, don't you think you'd be a little like, no, you can't marry a 12-year-old?
yeah, you'd think so. And so some former...
But it happens all the fucking time.
Yeah, it does. Some former members who, like, realized it was way too culty and went to the police about it. And also there's, like, anti-cult groups that were kind of watching them to make sure the kids were safe and stuff. And so they, the police kind of had them on their radar, but also they started stockpiling guns because they're preparing themselves for the end of the world.
Yeah,
so they start, like, stockpiling so many guns.
Why would you need to stockpile guns for the end of the world? If
I don't know.
God is
Isn't
coming?
Christ just going to take you up?
So why do you need guns? Is
Yeah, I
he
don't
like
know.
coming in a tank, and if you can't fight him off, then you go to hell or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, why would you need guns for the end?
Yeah.
If you're preparing for the end of the world, shouldn't you just make sure like that you're a good person and then you can go to heaven?
Yeah, and like if their rule is like you got to eat right. And I think like one of the things about being a good person, in my opinion, would be not marrying 12-year-olds.
And not getting a bunch of guns to kill people?
Yeah. But yeah, so he went the other way and got guns, and what he called
married.
spiritual wives, but they were just teenagers that he had sex with and impregnated.
Yeah, that's fucked
So
up.
they were on the radar of the police and the the alcohol, tobacco,
The
and firearm,
ATF?
the ATF. So in 1993, on February 28th of 1993, the ATF they got some warrants and they tried to go in there. Shots were fired. They ended up with 4 police officers, or 4 ATF officers dead and 16 others wounded. And 5 of the Branch Davidians killed as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Another note, too, is branch. It's not like branch as in, like, this is the branch of Davidians we are, or branch of Seventh-Day Adventists or whatever. It's like branch as in, like, a tree branch. It's, like, named after Bible verse of, like, this is...
So they're like Branch Davidians.
it was,
Like the Davidians of the branch.
Yeah, exactly, because they were the rod before, and now they're the branch.
So it's just a rod that hasn't been rodded.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-rod.
Yeah. And so then there was a standoff for a very long time, 51 days.
It's a long standoff.
Yeah, they had communications going with David Koresh. You can watch some home videos that...
Yeah, I think I've seen clips of it.
Yeah, it's very creepy. There's one point where he's showing his kids to kind of show... Because he was trying to get sympathy, and he thought this stuff was going to be broadcast on TV, which it wasn't until after their death. But, so he was showing all his kids and stuff like that. And one of them was like, he was showing his daughter, who the guy on the camera, like the guy taking the video, it was his wife's daughter. Like, David Koresh had impregnated this guy's wife.
Oh.
Because, like, David Koresh was trying to create small prophets or whatever, because he was a prophet of God.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he put himself in the Bible, too, BT dubs. In Revelation.
Like he just like wrote himself in? Like
basically,
fan
like,
fiction?
oh, this guy's me. Because there's the lamb in Revelations, which everyone just says is Jesus. And he's like, no, it's not. It doesn't say it's the same person. I'm not Christ. I'm not God, but I am this character.
The lamb.
In Revelation, I'm the lamb. Yeah. But yeah, so he was trying to create little prophets. And so he was showing them. It's just a weird video.
Jeez.
But, yeah. So the FBI got involved. And so it's ATF, FBI outside now, and they're, communicating back and forth. Texas Rangers are there. Eventually, Janet Reno, you may know her from Will Ferrell playing her on SNL. You may also know her from that Do You Know the 90s quiz that you, me, and Cody did.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I don't know who that old lady is. That was Janet Reno. So
Right,
she was the
yeah.
attorney general, because you know how now the attorney general just works for the president and just makes sure that he's safe. It used to be that they would deal with like law enforcement stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So back then, Janet Reno gave the order to like go in. And so they moved in with tanks.
Tanks.
Yeah, they had tanks. They were firing tear gas, trying to get them out of there.
Janet Reno, don't fuck around.
Yeah. And Janet Reno got a lot of pushback because, like I said, 76 people ended up dying in this raid. People weren't surrendering. People just refused to surrender.
Yeah.
And I think this has changed a lot of how they deal with cults now because it's not the same mindset as like other hostage negotiations.
Yeah.
Because they don't see themselves as hostages, so they're not going to try to escape. They're not going to try to get out of there. They're with their leader. And also, like, when you grew up in a cult, your mindset is different, and especially if you grew up in a doomsday cult.
Yeah.
Like, you're just seeing yourself at, this is the end of the world. This is everything that they've been talking about. You're not going to
you've been preparing for.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but at the same time, it's like you're not just gonna give up.
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do? It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you? You just be like, yeah, this is the end of the world.
Yeah. Well, no, because like in Revelations, if you give in to the man, then you get the mark of the beast, and you
give in to the man.
The government or whatever it is. So if
I'm not saying to like give in to them, but I mean, you're gonna.
Yeah,
it's the end of the world. It's happening. So it's just like, you know what? Come in here, do whatever you want. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah, and then at some point a fire broke out. It's still debated to this day
if they started, if it was an accident.
Yeah, if it was an accident, or if the FBI started, or if the Davidians started it. Don't know. I mean, there's a lot of gas and a lot of firearms, and easily could have
been a number of things.
Yeah. But a lot of self-inflicted gunshot wounds, a lot of other people inflicted gunshot wounds when they were examining the bodies. One of the kids was stabbed to death. Yeah, it was just like a sad mess.
So a lot of that, was that like the Davidians themselves doing it to each other?
They didn't want to burn to death or whatever, and they didn't want to give up, so they were just killing each other.
That's pretty fucked.
Yeah. It's... And then everyone was outraged at how the government handled it and how everything went down. Because, there was probably a million other ways it could have been handled, but it was also a crazy cult, and they weren't prepared for the pushback. And
it's like there's probably a million ways it could have been handled, but it doesn't mean that the result would have been much different. I'm sure regardless, a lot of people were going to die.
Yeah. And how Jonestown was what, like 15 years before this or something like that?
Yeah.
And people were probably afraid, like, okay, we're seeing some of the same patterns here. Let's try to do something. And also, you bring in, there's stockpiled guns, and you bring in the fact that this guy's marrying 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
The red flags are going up, and people want something done. And
I mean, how many people are just going to ignore a child rape compound in the middle of your town for how long, right?
Yeah. And so then still a lot of questions about what happened. Still like unsure how it could have been done differently. Still a lot of like people point out, and a lot of policies have changed since then, and how to minimize the loss of life in those sort of deals. Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, bombed Oklahoma, the government building there, 2 years to the day after
Waco.
Yeah. So the invasion was April 19th, or the siege was April 19th of 93, and this was April 19th of 95 that he blew up the Oklahoma City bombing as retaliation for what happened in Texas. So it's a sad story, and there are still Davidians. They still exist.
Were there survivors from?
There were survivors.
Because it was
5 people were arrested, and then there was a number
dead.
of 76 dead.
76 dead.
Yeah, and there was 90 something people. So like, So a lot of people dead, but not everybody. And then I don't know, a lot of debate on whether those people should have been arrested. They were charged originally with the deaths of the officers.
Right.
But then those charges were dropped, and they ended up, I think, just being charged with illegal firearms.
Well, something like that, it'd be hard to prove.
Yeah,
who
was
killed
involved,
who, right?
and yeah, I think you can visit the location. You can do a tour of it now, which is kind of creepy and weird.
Yeah, people visit things like that all the time.
It's true. Yeah,
that's what people do.
Yeah. Any other questions about David Koresh?
Not really. He just seems like kind of a creepy dude.
Yeah.
Let a horrible thing happen to a bunch of people.
Yeah. He just thought he was really the prophet, the next big thing sent from God, and that he was gonna lead us in this next phase.
You gotta wonder what led him to believe that. Whether it was some sort of delusion, whether he genuinely did believe it.
Yeah.
Like if it was like some sort of mental instability that caused him to believe that, or if he was just a psychopath who knew he didn't believe it, but he knew he could convince other people to do that stuff for him.
Well, and it's like he was a good-looking, charismatic guy that people liked listening to, and then you add all those other elements into it, and freaking frig. Speaking of frig, let's move in. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. Christian rock lyric.
Yeah, let's get some music in to lighten the mood a little bit after we talked about murder and death.
Yeah.
Can't you see you're not making Christianity better? You're just making rock and roll worse.
So, who do we have today for the Christian rock lyric of the week?
Today we have Cutlass.
Cutlass
is the name of the band.
Like cutlet?
Like I think, is that a sword?
Cutlass
is a sword with a K. Is it spelled with a K? I don't know. Song's called "What Faith Can Do."
Are they more of like a hard rock?
I think a little more hard rock. Yeah,
well, they got the K instead of the C. So
K is pretty hard rock.
Named after a sword.
Mm-hmm. A sword of God. So this is what faith can do. So what faith can do besides start a crazy cult, and what it can also do is these things.
Lay it on me. Lay it on me.
I've seen dreams that move the mountains. Hope that doesn't ever end, even when the sky is falling. I've never seen the sky fall. That's true. I've seen miracles just happen. Yeah, it's just random. Silent prayer get answered. How do you see silent? Was it your own silent prayer? Oh, okay. Broken hearts become brand new. Seen that? Okay. That's what faith can do. It doesn't matter what you've heard. Impossible is not a word. It's just a reason for someone not to try. Everybody's scared to death when they decide to take that step.
I feel like most of these, instead of faith, you could just change it with time.
Yeah.
And
time.
Time will do all that.
Time will do all that, yeah.
Mostly. Like something will happen eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times people call things miracles that are just like, well, I've never seen a dream move a mountain.
A broken heart will mend. It's like, eventually you'll get over it.
Yeah.
You move on.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Or it's a miracle from God.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're God and you want to talk about a miracle, send us an email and we'll discuss it on air.
And follow us on Twitter if you're God, and add us about your miracles. Or anybody else can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and rate us on iTunes. And special thanks to all you listeners.
Yeah, and please don't start a cult.
Don't start a cult.
It's not a good idea.
Sure, you'll make money,
but it just could end so badly for a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you're going to scam people, do it in a less murdery way.
You start an MLM.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Work, Sky Moon.